All right, welcome back to another episode of the Big J Little J Show. Duke was 3-0 this past week. We're going to dive into the recap of Duke, Kansas, takeaways from the Brotherhood stretch where they beat Niagara and took care of Howard. And then at the end, we'll talk about Arkansas just a little bit since it's Monday as we're recording. Game's not till Thursday. Still doing some deep dives. So I'll have a separate YouTube video with my Duke Arkansas preview that's thorough with a scouting report as well, like I did for Kansas. But before we get started, a couple sponsors. First one is Legacy Safe. Legacy Safe is a secure cloud-based platform for individuals, couples, and families tailored for organizing personal account information, legal documents, assets, and more. It is designed to provide individuals with reassurance that their affairs will be managed effectively once they have passed. Legacy Safe is a website that gives you the platform to have all your affairs in order, and that is legacysafe.info. The website, again, is legacysafe.info. Are you looking to buy or sell a home in North Carolina? Whether you're moving across town or across the state, Jacob Mann with eXp Realty is here to help make your real estate journey smooth, strategic, and stress-free. From first-time buyers to seasoned investors, he knows North Carolina and how to get results. Contact with my brother Jacob today at 336-266-9088 or on Instagram at the.real.estate.man with two N's. And let's make your next move the best one yet. Connor, you're staring through my soul that time. Looked like Manny Diaz when he looked at me the other day. You will be getting a house hopefully in 2026 as we're wrapping up 2025. And Jacob will be your first call. And he should be everybody's first call. If you're listening to this, call my brother because I'm telling you, you go from Charlotte through Mebane to Durham, he has it all. He has a wide range of where he can sell houses. And it's not a lot of real estate agents can say that. So he's the best in the biz. I'm not being biased. I am being biased, but his hard work shows it because I travel a lot from Charlotte to Durham for Duke games recently. Jacob does it for real estate almost every other day of the week. So shout out to him, and seriously, reach out to him at his Instagram or his phone number, as I said in the ad. But Connor, I saw you yesterday, and we'll talk about the Howard game. I saw you a couple of times this weekend. Duke beat Kansas 78-66. The last episode we had was the preview for Kansas. We talked some Kansas. And where do you want to start off the rip here? Do you want to start with Cam Boozer? Do you want to start with like anybody else on Duke? Pat Gungwa, is it big time Showtime Slim showing up in the Showtime like he has? Or where do you want to go to start this?
I'm remembering back to the Kansas game.
It's hard to remember back three games ago.
It shouldn't be. It was less than a week ago. Of course, I made 3 trips to the Triangle and covered 2 basketball games that were non-competitive and a pretty stupid football game. So, I mean, I think Cam Boozer's really good. I'm not as concerned as everybody else. Not everybody else, but some of the discussion point around him seems to be that he's athletically limited. He's a below the rim power forward. The shots around the rim stats don't look great for him with percentages and stuff like that. Sometimes I think we're getting so far into the weeds on stats. The guy had a off with quote marks. If you're not watching us, against Kansas, he had 18, 10, and 5. I think that's pretty good. He had a double-double and helped his team win a game. I mean, sometimes it feels like in evaluating individual players and their fits in the NBA, which is played completely differently than college basketball these days.
Yeah.
We lose track and we kind of discount players who are better than we think they are.
Yeah, I mean, that is he's always going to be popular with the discourse, but that's something that you can separate is what he's struggling with around the rim in the half court. Things like he was 48% after that game around the rim in the half court. There's a difference between like dealing with that as a Duke fan than viewing him as an NBA prospect, because so many people love to boom or bust players right away early in the college season. I mean, Cooper Flagg they're like, this is projected number 1 pick. This guy's not even go top 5, maybe top 10. He's too
inefficient. He turned the ball over against Kansas late.
Yeah, because he turned it over against Kansas. He turned it over. Who did he slip against? Kentucky. Yeah. And so those 2 turnovers in both those games were inefficient, and the bright lights. Like, this Duke team is overrated. Shire's overrated. And with Cam he is athletically limited. Just look, he's Carlos Boozer's son. Carlos Boozer couldn't jump over a piece of paper sometimes, especially in the NBA. And I love Carlos. He was so good on the low block, but it's very funny. He would have finger rolls. I'm like, just dunk the damn ball. But Cam he's still really damn good. I mean, he's had 2 off games this year, and both were double-doubles, Texas and Kansas. And scoring is his 3rd best trait, and he is Duke's leading scorer. His best trait to me is passing, and then his 2nd best trait, which is right there with it, is rebounding, and then is scoring. And so he had 5 assists in this game to 2 turnovers. I was confused why Kansas, and I said in the film breakdown why they were doubling him on the catch, and then Niagara did the same thing. It's like, dude, you're making a guy that surveys the floor's job way easier, because now one guy's guaranteed to be open because he can throw over top of the trap. Whereas, you trap him when he puts the ball on the floor, he's not the fastest, and that's where you can probably get him, is kind of maybe steal it or make him rush this process because the ball's on the floor, not in the palm of his hand to throw it. But he made Kansas pay with that decision making. He still needs to. The thing with him, the negative trait for him right now for me is shot selection. He had one transition 3 in the first half that backboard and then the back rim that was just forced. And then I think Duke was up 66-63. And he did a 1 dribble step back 3, barely grazed the front of the rim in the second half. And John Shire got up and just waved like that. Like, that was just, he punted possession, shooting that quick in the shot clock. So he settles a little too much, or he settles a few times a game, especially in certain instances where it's an important possession. Because I think that one possession in the second half was less than 6 minutes to go. But look, Duke won this game. Duke was a 10-point favorite. Kansas did not have Darren Peterson, and Duke still covered the spread. But shout out to Kansas. They had a really good fight in the first half. Flory Badunga was really good. And he gave Pat Gungba trouble. Pat Gungba had 4 fouls and just did not really have an answer for Flory Badunga. The answer for Badunga was himself got in foul trouble. Kansas was +8 on the court with him in the first half, -16 when he was off the court. And it showed, because Duke obviously took advantage and won the game and had an 8-point lead at half, because Duke ran a great set to get Slim open on a ghost screen. They hit basically a buzzer beater going to halftime.
Yeah. And that was, if you remember back to what we talked about last week, and you brought it up when you were running through the possible storylines here, Isaiah is a big-time player. Are his 2 highest scoring games the 2 against power conference teams?
I think so. Yeah. I'm pulling up his game log now, but I think he had 23 against 17 against Army. So 23 against Texas, 17 against Army, 16 against Kansas.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So averaging 19.5 points in 2 games in NBA arenas, and guess where Duke is later this week on Thursday night. If you can get you don't have to have us spell that one out for you in the preview section of this. That's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be automatic, but I think in big games, NBA courts, neutral court games with a lot of hype and circumstance, I think Isaiah Evans is a big time player. The thing not specific to the Kansas game, but it does kind of go with the Kansas game, and it goes with what I wrote on Friday after Duke just eviscerated Niagara. The thing that impresses me most about this Duke team, and that I think where people try to get lost in the conversation of comparing this team to last year's team, is the positional versatility. Like, this team's deep because they have 9 players that play. And one of the nuggets about this is 7 games in, every single game, all 9 players have scored, which feels a little bit like it's a rec basketball league team when you're making sure everybody that is on the court scores when they enter the game, other than iffy Cam Sheffield and Jack Scott when they get in for the last few minutes. But it's also it speaks to the depth of being able to go to 4 guys off your bench and count on them for points. It's going 9 deep, but then it's also the positional flexibility of 8 of the 9 can play multiple positions. Like, I'm pretty sure Pat Gongba is the only one that if he is on the court, he is at the 5 position. He is only at one position. There's nobody else playing the 5 if Pat Gongba is on the floor. But both Cam Boozer and Malik Brown can play the 4. You have the wings are basically interchangeable 2 and 3. Like Darren Harris, Dame Sarr, Isaiah Evans, and Nick Hemenia can all play 2 and 3. And Hemenia plays some 4. And then the point guards, when they're in there together, they're interchangeable. Caleb moves to off ball. I think Caden can play off ball. And that's where John can really become a tactician and just tinker with lineups to no end, honestly. And that's where it was really interesting what he was talking to us about in the post game on a Friday night was like, it's really fun for him because he's figuring out what combinations work best, who plays well together in certain spots against the other team, like what the other personnel determines what personnel you put on the court sometimes. But it's an evolution. Like, it's going to change. It's going to be different in a month. It's going to be different 2 months from now. It's going to be different all season. And with a team with 4 freshmen in the rotation and some guy, everybody else is in a different role basically other than Malik Brown. Like, it's just a constant evolution of figuring out who's going to be what from game to game. So that's where I think this team has more positional depth than last year's team did. Like, if Cooper Flagg was on the floor, if Cooper was on the floor last year, he was playing the 4. If Kaman was on the floor, he's playing the 5.
I don't know. I mean, Flagg ran some point forward. He did lead the team in every category.
Yes, but he like point forward, he's still a forward.
Yeah, I know. I guess there is no like prominent ball handler in back-to-back years. Like Conkinipple ran point, Zion, Cooper, and you're seeing that this year with this team really too, a little bit with Caleb. I mean, Caleb and Caden are like the point guards, but in terms of guys that are the facilitators, everybody gets assists. In this game against Kansas, the one guy that's arguably Duke's best passer did not have an assist. Malik Brown did not, who was my MVP. Malik Brown had no assist because, one, Duke missed opportunities when he made some really good passes, and 2, he had hockey assist. And the other guy that did not have any assists was Nick Hemenia, who had a quiet night, 4 points and 3 rebounds. But how many times have we seen him have 4 or 5 assists so far this season in a game? He's a really good passer for his size.
He just had 5 against Niagara.
Yeah. And so he just when you have 2 guys that are forwards that can really pass the rock, they have 0 assists, and then everybody else on the team does have at least 1 assist. It just shows how good of an offense this team is. Like, from top to bottom, against Texas, I was pulling it up. Every player that played in that game had an assist. Like, it's just they're so unselfish with the rock. They know where they're going in the offense, and it's clear as day. And then they just, the Spalding basketballs, which is probably going to be the theme for the Chicago game. I think they would be playing with Spalding. 7 of 26 from 3 against Kansas, 27%. Kansas was 4 of 21 from 3 in the game as well. And the worst 3-point shooting team out of the 4 teams had the best 3-point percentage in Michigan State in the Champions Classic. So, of course, that happens. And the one guy that it doesn't phase is Isaiah Evans, who was 3 of 7 from 3. Like that, he's just a pure knockdown shooter with any type of basketball. He could score with a beach ball. Like, he could just score with whatever you want out there from 3. But
why did Duke shoot 7 of 25 last night?
Because they wanted to get down to their opponent with Niagara. That's why they were like, "Hey, let's muck it up.
Howard.
We're already at 52-18." Or
Howard was last night.
who did I say? Niagara.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Whoops, Howard. Same level of opponent.
they shot the piss out of it against Niagara.
Yeah, they did, and they had off night. It's not good for my narrative about Spalding basketballs, Connor. So don't ever bring that up on the show again unless it's anti-Spalding basketballs, or I'll have to edit that part out so I can just be smart and have my media look like I'm right all the time.
I've got nothing against Spalding basketball. I want to keep our doors open for sponsorships, and you're just killing us.
That you're trying to make me change my name to J-Man's Bad Takes over here. So I just don't appreciate that. But no, it's this team, that is one thing about them. They are a little inconsistent from three. But look, they're not a three. They're not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're not as good of a 3-point shooting team as last year. We had Conkinipple, Sion James was shooting 65% efficient field goal percentage on catch and shoot threes. Tyrese Proctor, Kamal Malawach made, I think, low 30% with Cooper Flagg. Like, yeah, this team isn't going to be a 3-point. It's not going to kill an opponent via three, but where they're going to kill them, which they did against Kansas, was backdoor cuts, back screens that led to open layups, and that was their bread and butter. Then they out-rebounded Kansas 41-30. I want to talk about Connor with that, the points in the paint. So after the game and after the Niagara game, I talked to Caleb Foster. It's like, hey, what was the point of emphasis Shire had with you guys after the Kansas game? He just said that we gave up too many points in the paint. And whether it was like offensive rebound, second chance points, or just drives where they penetrated deep against the defense and it set up easy buckets for Kansas. And that was their focal point against Niagara and Howard for the weekend, was really try and limit points in the paint. And poor Niagara, they did that against them, as Niagara had one made 2-point field goal in the first half against Duke. I think they were 1 of 8 from 2, and everything else was from 3. And it was a great response by Duke against Niagara to not allow points in the paint.
Yeah. And this team, they have to play defense a little different. And this is 2 out of 4 years that we say that about a Duke team. The difference is the year that we said that prior, they didn't have a center. I mean, they had Kyle Filipowski playing the center and playing out of position. This team has a center. Like, Pat Gongba is a legitimate center, and Malik Brown is a center also. Pat Gongba is just not going to stand out as the same type of shot blocker that Mark Williams, Derek Lively, and Kamal Malawach were. So they have to defend a little bit different. And I go back to the stories that we were writing 2 years ago about how, no, you don't have the luxury of having a 7-footer in there who's going to be not just a shot blocker, but a shot deterrent and drive deterrent, where guys don't even want to go into the paint and challenge him, because even if you get a shot up over him, you're changing the arc of your natural shot because he's so damn tall. He's 7'2" with a 9'6" standing reach or whatever it is. But with defending it differently, you can take more chances on the perimeter. You can try to you're going to be a little more reliant on deflections, and that's one of the best things this team does is they create deflections. Any team with Malik Brown on it is going to be pretty good at deflections, but it's 6'7" Dame Sarr within a 6'11" or 7-foot wingspan, whatever he has. It's Caleb Foster and Caden Boozer both having pretty good anticipation on the perimeter and getting out in passing lanes. It's just, so you're gonna see that's where the steal percentage, like Ken Pom has a way to track the percentage of turnovers that you force that are steals, and that's, I think, going to be a big stat for Duke all year. Is, yeah, it's good if you force a team to turn the ball over by throwing the ball out of bounds or doing, like, dribbling off their foot. That doesn't really help your offense. Like, you're taking the ball out on your side of the court, unless Cam Boozer's going to throw an outlet pass and get a 2-on-1, which he did last night against Howard when the Bison were all pushed up forward for whatever reason. It's not really doing anything for your offense. But the steals, that's when you get out and run in transition and get easy offense. That's where you get runouts and dunks and all that stuff that shows up on highlight reels. And it makes it really easy to run away from teams.
Yeah, I would say this Duke team, I don't know, this might be a cold take, but I'm going to say it. As of right now, maybe this Duke team just has to rely on their defense a lot more than last year's is why I'm thinking. But I just think this Duke team's defense has potential to be better than last year, is right now better than last year's in my eyes. Like, I just think with what Dame Sarr brings to the table with on-ball defense, 4 steals against Niagara, 3 against Army, 3 against Texas, and then Caleb Foster's really good on-ball defense, and then Isaiah Evans has been really good. I tweeted it after the Kansas game maybe, but he was Duke's best defender with field goals against shooting percentage. It was like 18% against Isaiah Evans, and then Pat Gungbo around the rim. Now he's not as durable or as quick as Kaman Malo on the perimeter. That's where you can get him in trouble if you want to do like a 2-man game and get him up top. But rim protecting him and then Malik Brown all of a sudden being a shot blocker at the 5, being an undersized 5 on top of his steals and deflections. I think right now I would say this Duke team is better at defense than last year's. And the only thing that I would say that last year's was better than this year's is the 3-point shooting, like I just talked about. Because Dame, I called him my X factor for this season, and so far he has been that for good and bad. Like when he's good, he's really good, and when he has a bad sequence, he has a bad sequence. And he had a tough sequence against Howard at the end of the game. I was watching John Shire on the sideline. You would have thought that Duke outscored him 41-38 in the second half. You would have thought that was the real score. You would have thought that Duke was only up 3 points in the game against Howard, the way Shire was coaching and how pissed off he was at the last segment before the walk-ons came in. But I think it was like 5 straight possessions, like Duke on offense, Duke on defense, Duke on offense, Duke on defense, that Dame Sarr he turned it over, he fouled, he turned it over, he fouled, he turned it over, then he fouled. And you could just see like Shire was just like, dude, what the hell? And with those bad possessions with him, he still had 8 rebounds as a wing in 23 minutes. And he had a great dunk and he hit a corner 3. It's just he's still figuring out college basketball. Like he's just he's raw. You remember like Kaman Malawatch was very raw last year for the first 3 months. It's just that's just with Dame.
You also have to remember Dame wasn't playing basketball much this time of year. He was practicing a lot.
Right.
But like with FC Barcelona, he was not playing many minutes.
Yeah.
That's kind of he mentioned that to me when I was asking him about stuff with playing 2 games in 3 days and the differences that come with it. I like asking the freshmen about that the first time Duke does it, because they obviously, you play AAU basketball, you play 3 or 4 games in a day. It's not a big deal to play 2 games in 3 days in college from a stamina place, but there are differences, mostly in how intense the scouting reports are. But it's interesting to go ask Dame about it, because obviously Dame wasn't playing AAU. Dame was playing professional basketball with grown-ass men, like practicing. But he was talking about just kind of he threw in a mention of like obviously playing a lot more minutes right now than I was with FC Barcelona.
Yeah, and it shows, because the 3-game stretch, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists against Kansas on 2 of 6, 1 of 5 from 3. The catch and shoot 3 he did make was the one that was most contested, and of course he made that one. He missed a couple that seemed to be open, but he made that one. And then against Niagara, I said after that game, just a fascinating stat line. In 22 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, and a block. That's just – Duke gets that out of him in 22 minutes. The points are he's going to be like an 8-point per game scorer. It's just kind of what his offensive bag is. He's going to get most of his points off of fast breaks, whether he gets the steal or Duke's running because he's long and lanky and can finish above the rim, or he's going to be a catch and shoot guy in the corner, which is where all of his 3-pointers have came from, basically. And he had 1 of 3 against Niagara, 1 of 3 against Howard. He's shooting 40% from 3. But, in the last 3 games, he's 3 of 11. That's just going to, it's going to happen. He's going to probably be a 35% 3-point shooter for Duke, and majority of those is going to be catch and shoot. The one area of his game that he has to be better at, though, is free throw line, 50%, 10 of 20. And that's just, if he wants to stay on the floor for Duke and these next 3 games that Duke's about to play, you got to be able to hit your free throws, because Shire's not going to play a guy that's going to miss free throws and down the stretch.
All the other part of it is that you're playing with a lead late and you're trying to get a defensive stop. You want him on the floor because he's so valuable defensively. But if you get that defensive stop and the ball finds him, it's on every team scouting report. That's who you foul. That's who you want to send to the line.
So you want to foul, and who you want to, if he throws the ball, there's a higher percent chance his pass gets stolen than anybody else's, because he's still figuring out. He threw that one-handed pass last night against Howard. I thought he killed somebody in the stands. It was that Gerald Henderson, the infamous Bobcats, where he throws it in the stands and the lady's looking at her phone and just hits her like that. She was like JFK. It was fast.
Yeah, I saw that one, and a little bit further down press row, Bob Sutton leaned over to me and was like, "What happens if somebody hits Coach K?" Because it was in that area of the court.
I think you lose scholarship. I think that's you're banned from Duke University.
I believe that was floated by Bob. It's like, I think that's how you lose all your NIL, all your scholarship. They probably pack your bags for you.
That's hilarious. Because I did not realize that ball was that close to Coach K. If that would have happened,
it was to the crazies. It was
right. Yeah.
5 rows up to the crazies. But that corner of Cameron, when K is there, which he was for both games this weekend because of because he coached both former coaches. Yeah. For the other coaches.
Let's pivot, Connor. We're almost 30 minutes in here. The most fascinating topic, for better or for worse, because to me, I don't think it should be a discussion. But Caleb Foster, Caden Boozer, point guard position.
That's the most fascinating discussion point.
Well, I'm just saying, people, I see on Twitter, Caden should be point guard. This is the reason why. Plus, because he has a higher plus minus, or he has more assists. Caleb's not a passing point guard. Whatever. I'm just talking about discourse that I've seen. So, after these 3-game stretch, basically we're going to agree to the same thing. So I'm just going to say it. It looks what it is right now is it's perfectly fine with me. They're both playing good point guard play as 2 different type of point guards. It's 2 different type of point guards playing one position, and then they're doing a very good job playing together, where Caden's the 1 and Foster moves over at the 2. But before you were about to jump off a cliff, I wanted to really back in. It's hey, we're on the same page here. But, it is discourse that I've seen within the fan base. And so we are a Duke podcast, so we should talk about it.
Yeah, you're going to send me into a spiral onto a soapbox about the state of society here and how everything has to be black and white, and one thing has to be good and one thing has to be bad. Why can't it work with what they're doing right now?
I know.
Why
well, that's what we're talking. Hey, we're talking about it. Don't jump off that cliff yet. We're good. We're not there. We're not there. We're talking about it in a healthy way, and we both agree that what is happening with the point guard position is A-okay for both of us, because Caleb Foster is the defender, Caden Boozer is the facilitator. And one is a better facilitator and one is a lot better defender. It just is what it is. I was looking up Caleb Foster update. Guys are shooting 29% against them from the field. Jump shots are 6 of 23, and pull-up jumpers are 3 of 13. So, and at the rim, 1 of 5. So he does a really good job of wall defense and making guys really work for it. And then Caden, just outstanding facilitator. The way he can move with the ball after a made basket to push tempo and get a quick one for Duke. It's UNC-esque point guard like play where you see after made basket the Carolina break. That's what Caden Boozer does very well.
So this is fascinating to me. We're doing great live podcasting right now. Obviously, if you had to tell me who you think has hit the most threes on Duke's team, who would it be?
Or is this going to be a Caleb Foster stat here?
No, yeah. Well, I guess I'm going a long build for this one. Isaiah Evans has obviously made the most threes on the team.
Yes.
He's made 16. He's taken the most too. He's taken 45. So, I mean, I think you're taking 35% from him when he's shooting 6 of them a game.
Wow.
6.5 a game.
And then 5 guys have 10?
Yeah. Well, you spoiled the punchline there.
My fault.
I was going to ask you who's made the second most, and it was going to be a trick question because 5 freaking guys are tied for second with 10 made 3-pointers.
And the most fascinating one is Darren Harris. That's crazy that he is tied for second in threes with obviously the minutes comparison to the other guys. He's played 36 total offensive possessions. Everybody else has played more than that.
Of the guys with 10. So just to run through the list for everybody because they're not looking at the same stats we are. Cam Boozer, Caleb Foster, Dame Sarr, Nick Amenia, and Darren Harris have all made 10 3-pointers this year. Which one has the best percentage?
Caleb Foster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing he's done so well this year is really improve that 3-point shooting. 45.5% from 3 on synergy.
It's still high arcing. It's just not a moon ball anymore. It's not you shoot it and have time to turn your watch and then it's going to land.
That shit spins though. And I'll give Caden Boozer credit. Caden Boozer, he had a strong showing of being a catch and shoot guy against Niagara. He was 3 of 4. Caleb was also 3 of 4. But if Caden can show that's part of his game,
Caden made a huge one against Kansas.
Yeah, and he made a huge one against Kansas, and he had 3 huge possessions in the second half for Duke. That catch and shoot 3, and then back-to-back layups that were tough, or a runner and a layup. And so they're both really good at the position for different reasons.
And Duke finished the game playing both of them together.
Yeah,
and playing well, and finished out the game with a 12-point win, where you weren't nervous about too many giveaways or not being able to inbound the ball, even though I do think they turned the ball over once on a blob, but you weren't getting many Houston flashbacks.
Yeah. And Caden was his plus minus in the Kansas game was outstanding. I think it was like plus 17 and Caleb was -1. But as I said on Twitter, Caleb, when he sat out with his second foul the same time as Badunga did, and that kind of flipped the whole plus-minus discussion because that's when Duke went on the run. It wasn't because Caleb was out. It was because Badunga was out. He just happened to be out while Badunga was out. But even then, Caden had a better plus-minus. But this past game against Howard, Caden was plus 10 and Caleb was plus 21. And that was because Howard was going after Caden on the defensive end, and they were getting buckets because Caden had 6 assists in the game. He played outstanding offensively. It's just his defense is going to continue to grow. On-ball defense can continue to grow on the season. So it's just a talking point that I want to discuss, Connor, because I know it's going to just be that. It's going to be that for this Arkansas game because Duke is going to play Acuff, Malik Thomas, and, a talented guard play to where the discussion is going to unfortunately be the thing on Twitter.
If I know John Shire the way I think I know John Shire, Caleb will play more than Caden because they'll want to slow down Arkansas's guards. And they will not want to have is Caden the worst defensive player in the 9-man rotation?
Yeah. He's given up 42% from the field. And that's I think second was like Gungba at 32%.
Okay.
I think Malik actually is like the worst. He's like 5 of 12 against him, but that's because nobody ever goes against Malik. You know what I mean? Like that's also
the one of the things I keep remembering back to from last year, one of the things John said was Malik isn't a rim protector, but he doesn't have to be a rim protector because his defense is played so far from the rim that he's not in there to block shots.
Correct. So technically I think it's Malik, but it's very minimal possessions because it never gets down there. And but yeah, Caden, it's just a part of the game that he needs to work on. But the good news for Duke is that one guy's weakness is the other guy's strength. That is what makes that position so beautiful that they can combine to make a really good point guard for Duke, which has happened. They're seven? Is it 7 games in the season right now? Are we 7-0?
Yeah.
Whew, good Lord, the season's flying around. That's crazy. Flying along. It's already Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving. Let's go into – there's nothing else for the Duke. Oh, I'll just say what Shire said at the end of the game. In the presser, he was not happy with Duke fouling as much as they did in the second half. And was it turnovers?
I think so.
But we will say, you brought it up in the game, Duke gave up their first kill shot of the season to
right.
Howard. Howard is the first team to have a kill shot against Duke. And that's going to be a fun question to ask if Duke goes unscathed in these next 3 games. They don't give up a kill shot. It's like, hey, in the first 10 games for Duke, which team had a kill shot against Duke? And it's Howard. Howard had a 10-0 run in the second half that Shire was not happy with.
Yeah. Do we need to explain kill shots a 10-0 run or more?
Yeah.
Duke's had, I think, up to 15, maybe at least 14 of them. It's a stat tracked at evanmaya.com, and I've become kind of obsessed with it since last year. Last year, Duke team had the most in the country and gave up only 7, which was top 20 in the country for fewest amount allowed.
Speaking of Evan Maya, before we get into our brief Arkansas conversation, he came out with the player rankings this week. Pat Gungba is the number 3 player in the country behind Cam Boozer and Braden Smith. Then number 3 is Pat Gungba based off his player rankings. So I ask you, Connor O'Neill, and I ask you, fans that are listening, who is the number 2 option for Duke? Who would you say? Would you say it is Pat Gungba, or would you say Isaiah Evans?
See, here's the anecdotal thing that I always remember with Evans' player rankings. And don't get me wrong, I use the shit out of Evans' site. There are just some caveats to using these sites. I think sophomore year Mark Mitchell was a top 20 player in the country on Evans' site. It's really hard to put all of your eggs in the basket of his player rankings when the eye test tells you Mark Mitchell was not a top 20 player in the country 2 seasons ago.
It's fair. That's fair. I would say Isaiah is the number 2 option.
Look.
Pat, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
When you started saying something about the most interesting discussion point on this team, I thought you were going to go to this place.
You're probably correct. You're correct.
We've already talked about it this year. Who is Duke's second best player?
Yep, I think it's right now. I would go Isaiah. They both average 13 points a game. I did not realize that. It's actually kind of fascinating. I had no idea. But the thing with Isaiah, and they've both been pulled in certain games because of inconsistencies on the defensive end. Isaiah was benched. Was the Western Carolina game I was talking to you about, where I was like, hey, Isaiah has been sitting for 8 minutes when he threw the lob to Dame from half court. And then Gungba has sat because of foul trouble. And Badunga had his way with Pat. And then Malik Brown shut that down to where it made it more difficult for Badunga to get post position, whereas Pat kind of gives that up a little too easy. But, Gungba, he's so efficient. Points per minute, he's shooting 70% from the field. He's Jahlil Okafor-esque on the block in a post-up where he catches it. If it's at the 3-point line, he starts backing him down. I'm like, this is going to be a 2 points. And that's how I felt with Jahlil Okafor That's how I feel with Pat Gongba. The footwork he has and the touch is phenomenal.
He's missed 1 2-point shot in the last 4 games, and none in the last 3.
And I know what was the 2-point. What game was the Western Carolina game?
No, Indiana State. He missed a 2. I don't remember it at all.
Indiana State game was the pitch ahead from Caden Boozer, and he missed the dunk and got his own rebound and laid it in because I told him after the game. I told Caden Boozer after the game that Pat owes him a cookout tray or something for smoking that layup. And so that's the only 2 that he's missed was one that he missed an easy dunk on a transition basket, and he got his own rebound and laid it in.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can gripe about his 1 for 9 clip on threes. I mean,
yeah, but
thank God he finally hit one against Niagara and saw it go in. But
yeah,
no, it's kind of the same conversation we started having last year when he was getting minutes in the significant portion, like not just when he was in there cleaning shit up in the first couple months, but when Malik went down for the first time and Pat gets in there, it's like, holy shit, he's got awesome hands and footwork and he knows what he's doing. And like Duke just had this guy sitting on the end of the bench and break glass in case of emergency type situation. That's a hell of a luxury to have. And now he's a year further along. His role is completely different. So he's geared up to be Duke's starting center and be this option. And that's how breakout seasons happen.
Yeah, it is. And you can honestly say it's a tie. Like I hate to say like it's like 2A and 2B, but 13 points a game. Stay with me here. Same amount of points a game. Pat obviously has more rebounds. He's a big fella, so he's 7 rebounds. So Isaiah has 3.5. But they both have 2 assists. But the pin down action was just them 2, and Isaiah makes the right read of either going to the rim or throwing the lob to Pat. Is a credit to both of them. If he's getting downhill, if Isaiah's getting downhill, it's because Pat set a really good down screen to free him up to get straight downhill. And if it's a lob to Pat, it's because it's a really good read by Isaiah and a really good job by Pat to catch the lob. And so I can kind of be a tie. You can say Isaiah because of the big games, but it's a fascinating discussion. That is a fascinating discussion. Probably the discussion for Duke is who is the second option. It's both of them. And Isaiah showed up in the games.
It sounds like the intelligent discussion to have about this Duke team instead of griping about which point guard sucks more than the other one.
Here we go. I shouldn't have brought that up. God damn it. I shouldn't have brought it up. The point guard position is fine. We both know that. But yes, the second option, the Robin to the Batman of Cam Boozer, is 2 guys. It's fine. And that's Pat has to show me that he can do it against this stretch here. Like Nick Pringle is a good matchup for him down low because Pringle's going to be aggressive and he's going to try and bully him on the defensive end. Pringle's a really good rim protector. Can Pat score against the legit rim protector? That is Nick Pringle. And then Isaiah, he's shown up in 2 big games for Duke already, the Texas-Kansas game, both in NBA arenas. Does he show up a third time? He's called Showtime for a reason. So, yeah, it's fascinating. And then the point guards, I forgot the exact splits I said I want them to combine for. I think it was like 14, 6, and 6. Like 14.6 rebounds, 6 assists, and a game. So combined right now, they average 15 points a game, 8 and 7. So 15 rebounds, 6. And then assists, they're at 6. And then they both only average a turnover a game, which is just great ball protecting there. By Dame. I'm reading Dame in between Caleb and Caden, between Caleb Foster and Caden Boozer.
Yeah.
But let's pivot, Connor. We'll close up shop here with just a quick conversation about Arkansas. Like I said, this Monday, I'm in the process of watching Arkansas film. Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff, they are really good. They're really fast. Acuff is really good. Shire said in the post game that he's familiar with Acuff because he coached Acuff at the U18 select team or something like that this past season or this past summer, which is a nice tidbit. I did not know that. But Malik Thomas, or let me back it up a little bit. the one area that Duke struggled with Kansas, especially early in the game, was transition. They gave a lot of transition points. A lot of easy buckets came from transition because of miscommunication. Arkansas is the 15th fastest team in the country. They want to run in transition. 172 of their 547 points have been scored on transition buckets. Malik Thomas's average is 18 points a game. Akoff averages damn near, and he is fast as hell. I think Calipari. I have in my notes somewhere from Sleepers when I did an Arkansas preview this season that Calipari compared him to like a mix of D Rose and De'Aaron Fox. I want to say were the 2 point guards that he's had. It's like Darius Akoff is a mix of them two, and he's good. He's good. They're coming off a blowout win against Jackson State because Mo Williams is dressing up hilarious outfits on the sideline. They're 0-5, but that game you can't really take much away from. But you can watch the Michigan State game and you can see the flaws of Arkansas, which I'm currently watching that game, and then you can see like things that should have happened for Arkansas. They just didn't make some certain shots in that game that I'm charting right now. And then I watched them play Winthrop, and then I'll watch them play they had another close game, Samford. They played Samford, yeah. So I got to watch those two, and I will break that down for my preview on my YouTube channel. But yeah, Connor, Arkansas, John Calipari, spoiler alert, John Calipari likes to run in transition.
You see who their backup center is?
Oh, my God. I know this answer, but I'm drawing a blank right now because you just called on me like a teacher. Who is it?
I'm married to a teacher, and my mom is a teacher, so I'll take that as a compliment.
You should take that as a compliment. I'm frozen right now.
ACC legend Malik Ewan.
Yeah.
He was racking up big numbers for Florida State last year and a bunch of losses. He's only started one game, and it doesn't look like he's done much of anything. Like the Michigan State game, he had 4 points in 15 minutes, 2 rebounds.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jackson State and how it doesn't look too good for Mo Williams, Malik Ewan had 21 against them.
Yeah, he's not great.
In 14 minutes.
They're awful, dude. Jackson State is just awful, and so is Mo Williams' attire on the sidelines. This Arkansas team. Go ahead.
This is a weird Arkansas team, man. Like they've got 2 dominant, dynamic freshman guards. I don't know how Trayvon Brazile is still there. That guy's been there forever.
He has.
I thought everybody transfers this day and age.
They have 3 guys that average 4 assists a game, which is not John Calipari like, in my opinion. When I think of John Calipari, I think of just
drive. That's not dribble drive.
Yeah, I just think of dribble drive. I just think of, all right, go take your guy one-on-one, get to the cup. If you can't dish it out, then you do it. And so to have 3 guys averaging 4 assists a game, then Brazile is a nice little utility guy, like kind of does it all for them. 13.7 rebounds, their leading rebounder, and 2 blocks as a forward. Like he can jump out of the gym, can't shoot. He's one that cannot shoot 18% from 3, but as a team, they shoot the ball well from 3 at 36%. And Malik Thomas, I talked about him earlier. He's been efficient the last 2 games, but he's very inefficient as a player. In the Samford game, he was 5 of 13. In the loss to Michigan State, he was 5 of 15. Central Arkansas, they won by a billion, they won what you said, the same exact score as Duke beat an opponent, 93-56. Yeah. He had 6 of 17 against Central Arkansas. So he's not the most efficient guy. He's kind of a shot chucker, but the one shot that he likes, I'll give him credit. I haven't seen it in a long time. Floater. He loves a legit floater. He's shooting 58. He shot 12 floaters so far this year, 58%. I've not seen a player shoot that many floaters early in the season in a long time. But Lee Thomas, he can score it. He's going to be good, but he also can pass. Like he averaged 4. One of the guys that averaged 4 assists. He has 3 games this year. I'm sorry, he has 2 games where he's had 6 or more assists. He had 7 and 6, and then he's a hell of a rebounder at 6'5". He's had 4 games where he's had 6 or more. 3 with 6 and 1 with 8. So this team loves to crash the glass from all areas, and that's something that Duke – it's been a point of emphasis for Shire, but they got to limit second chance points against Arkansas, a team that loves to crash the glass.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's get more John Shire telling us how much he doesn't like starting games with giving up 5 or 6 layups and telling his team they have to respond.
Yeah, because it's a moot point after a while. The guys just will not listen to Coach Shire telling them, hey, we need to lock in here because, like, oh, it's whatever. Like, we always do this. And it's going to burn him one time, and Shire knows it. That's why he's so on edge about starting fast. And this is a good test. This is a good test. I'll have more of a preview for Arkansas, like I said, later this week, probably Wednesday on the channel. But Connor, I don't want to ask you for keys of the game because you're still doing your write-ups with Arkansas, but we can find your preview for the Arkansas game on 3, right?
Yeah, that'll be up on Devils Illustrated. Be up sometime Wednesday. This time of year's nuts. This week is nuts. It's dual beat Super Bowl on Saturday. It's the only football game of the year that I'm guaranteed to go to a winning press conference. So,
yeah. So you just go to one press conference then. You just go to the winning coaches press conference.
Yeah, and especially so. Yes, for when Duke and Wake play each other, it's a lot easier to do both of their press conferences in basketball because the press conferences happen in the same place in like 95% of basketball arenas.
Yeah.
Football is completely different, and football at Wallace Wade, Duke's press conference happens in the Yo Center, which is like in the building that's kind of behind the Devil's deck. The visitor press conference happens after you make the Dabo Swinney Memorial Walk on the other side of Duke's practice field. It's physically impossible based on the timing of everything to get to both press conferences. So whoever wins, that's who I'm going to talk to.
And I'll see you there. I will be so busy. It's going to be a busy week for everybody that's listening to this. It is the holidays. So happy Thanksgiving to you listeners. I can speak for Connor and I. We are both thankful for you guys listening and watching the podcast. We're basically 3 years in. And if it wasn't for you guys, I would not be potentially a big J. Still a little J. I'll forever be a little J at heart. But this platform has given me the opportunity to be a big J sometimes with Connor in Cameron and in Wallace Wade. And so I'm thankful for everybody that watches and listens to this show. And I know Connor would say the same thing.
Yeah. You said it better than I would.
And look, hopefully, Connor, when we come back after Thanksgiving, we're talking about a Duke win on Thanksgiving. And then for the football team, that's for a different story, a different Big J, Little J that will probably come out this week as we preview Duke Wake Forest. Connor knows both better than anybody on this show. So, Connor, I appreciate it, brother. For you listeners, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys in the next video.